Hey guys! So today I'm going to be doing a review on Cain and Abel by Jonathan Matos. I was offered a copy of this book in return for an honest review, so I thought I'd share with you guys my thoughts on this book and let you know how I felt. So let me start off by kind of explaining what the book is about. Essentially, it is about a boy who faces a near-death experience when he's really young. He has to have surgery to correct the scoliosis issue, and he also has like muscle deficiency issues. So he has the surgery to kind of correct some of those issues, and then almost dies during the surgery. So it's kind of following his path after that situation. It deals a lot with him going through school, meeting people and engaging with people, and kind of just how he is treated with having this like disability. After the surgery, he has to walk with a cane pretty much for the rest of his life. So just dealing with that at a young age. And then it further progresses into his high school and adulthood life, where he is constantly intertwined with another character whose name is Jason Bell, and he's like almost like the stereotypical football player, very popular, very rowdy kind of person who picks on him during high school, but then further on in their lives keep on getting interconnected. It kind of really follows those two main characters, but it also has some side stories of his sister, and along with another friend that he gains during his high school days. So yeah, it's a very interesting book. It has a lot to do with like coming of age, but also dealing with a disability. I definitely think this is more of a character-driven story. Then the characters were done really well. You really get to see inside the head of Cain, who's the main character, and also in Jason's mind, because it follows both of these perspectives, as well as a third perspective, which is like a girl at the high school that they both kind of interact with as well. While I didn't necessarily feel like we needed Beth's perspective in the story, having both Cain and Jason's perspective was very great, and they both felt like very developed characters. At first, Jason comes off as very stereotypical, but once we get to his perspective, he definitely rounds out into a fully fleshed character. So I really was intrigued by him. Even more so than the main character, I think Jason was much more interesting than Cain in some respects, but they both are very intriguing characters. There's also a big theme with religion and church life. It does a really great job to kind of show the complexity of these characters' personalities, and just adds like an additional touch to the story that was really nice. I liked seeing that church culture in there, done in a way that isn't very stereotypical of church culture, and I thought that was really well done. He also does a very good job of just writing how the characters feel. I think we really get deep into these characters' heads and just see what's going on in their minds, and I think that was done very well in the book. I also appreciate, while you may be able to kind of guess what happens in the story based on the title, it didn't have a very over-the-top feeling, or it wasn't melodramatic at all. I think it was very believable, especially throughout the plot, and I don't know, it was just very well done. I think the fact that it was so well thought out and so believable makes the story even a little more creepier to think that this really could happen. So that was really well done. I feel like there could have been a little more creepier touches to the story, just alluding, because I would say that it is a Cain and Abel retelling. So if you're familiar with that story, you're probably going to already know what happens in the end. So there's not really a plot twist in that sense, but there could have been more just a little more touches on the creepier side to bring out the main character's like darker side. So I would have liked to see more of that. My other biggest concern is the pacing, as well as like the relationship between Dennis and Jason, the two main characters. I feel like I really was interested in that, and I would have liked to see more interactions between the two of them and that sort of thing. And I also just think, while the story isn't necessarily boring in any way, there are parts that are very specific and detailed, and the pacing is pretty slow, and then other parts where I feel like the pacing goes way too fast, especially towards the end of the novel. The end kind of was rushed a little bit, and I would have liked to see more of that. I don't know, I would have liked to just see a lot more with Dennis and Jason together, their interactions, what their relationship was like. That seemed to be lacking, especially during like the high school years. I wish that was more developed. When you first see Jason's character, it doesn't feel like he's gonna play a very big part until we get his first point of view chapter, and it's like, oh, so this guy has a larger part in the story, and that slowly develops, but you don't really get to that point until about halfway through the novel. So I would have liked to see Jason earlier on in the story as well, so we could like develop his character earlier. And maybe that's why it felt rushed, like he was trying to get in all this stuff like later in the half of the book. Both the main characters were fully developed. I just feel like I wanted to spend more time with them during that stage in their lives. And there was this other part that was side story kind of, or plot, that was dealing with Jason, the football player's dad. And I don't know if that was really necessary for me. I don't think it really added anything to the story, but I guess it was a way to add some type of like action element to it, but I don't really think that was necessary. It just seemed out of place to me in the whole scheme of things, and then at the end it just seemed weird to have that because there was no hint to it coming up later in the book, but that's just me. Those are kind of my thoughts on Cain and Abel. I think this author has really great potential. His writing is really well. I think he does characters very well. So I'm curious to see what he has coming up next. I believe this is the first book in a 7-part series called The 7 Deadly Sins or something along that line. So I'll be interested in to see what the second book is about and try to check out that one when it comes out. So yeah, if you're interested into kind of like contemporary books or coming of age stories but with a darker take to them, this would probably interest you, and I suggest you check it out. I think it's definitely worth checking out if you're into those kind of stories. If you guys have read this book, let me know. I'd love to kind of discuss it with you further in the comments to see like what your thoughts were about it. If you're interested in checking it out, let me know that as well. So yeah, if you enjoyed watching this video, please like or subscribe, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.